Oh, Luke! Fancy meeting you here.
Oh,
How
hello.
you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Where'd you come from? I was just
I
enjoying, a couple of games of HyperBrawl.
yeah, I felt like watching a couple of games of HyperBrawl, so I guess we're both very fortunate.
Yeah, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, and so has everyone else. Thanks, guys, for joining us for another weekly brawl in the world of HyperBrawl. We are about to do a couple of rounds of Blitz like we've done in the last couple of weeks, but before that, we're in free play while I get a bit of housekeeping out of the way. So, of course, you might have seen across our channels this week, we've been talking a lot about lore, and Luke will be talking a lot about that during our matches as well. So, like a bit of about the character lore and the arena lore and that kind of thing. Because obviously there is stuff to discover in this universe. And things to learn about.
Yep.
So yeah, we've talked a lot about that on social, and this video will have more of that. Beyond that, of course, one big thing that we've been talking about a lot recently is our newsletter, and some of the interesting stuff we've introduced recently are the exclusive newsletter exclusive wallpapers you can get. So if you want to support and show off your favorite character from HyperBrawl, or just show off the game to your friends in general, and deck out your PC in that sense. A newsletter is a really great way of doing that. And of course, we've just introduced the HyperBrawl quests as well, where you can win not only ambassador rewards, which include some really cool, very, very exclusive character skins, but you can also every week we're gonna pick one random winner from our subscriber list to win a free copy of HyperBrawl at launch. So check the links in the description to get signed up, and you'll get some goodies there. And finally, speaking of decking out your PC, Luke, we've got a pretty badass Gleam giveaway running right now.
Pretty epic.
So for anyone who's going to be playing HyperBrawl on PC, and hell, even if you're a PC gamer and you want to deck out your PC, check out our Gleam contest. You can find it on our social channels or on HyperBrawl.com, where you could win some super cool Alienware accessories, peripherals, whatever you want to call them. A cool keyboard, mouse, and a headset, all from the Dark Side of the Moon color scheme, so they look really badass.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff, and a big thanks to Alienware for supplying us with those. Some very good friends over there, which is super awesome. So again, check that out for your chance to win some goodies. I think that's probably all of our housekeeping out of the way. So let's jump into some Blitz and actually brawl.
Let's do it.
Right, we are ready to Blitz. And like we kind of teased in the beginning, this is going to be all about lore. So Luke, why don't you take us through the lore of your character select here?
Sure. So HyperBrawl, the world of HyperBrawl is essentially made up of parallel dimensions, multiple worlds, different timelines. So each character can be wildly different, obviously while still kind of maintaining that awesome HyperBrawl style. So I'm going to go for this arena that we're going to play specifically. I'm going to choose Toro, who is obviously he's the Minotaur champion of of an island called Talhaka. And cool. He's essentially the descendant of both the legendary Greek heroes and the Greek monsters. Don't ask me how that works, but that's what he is. And for his partner today, I think I'll go for. I think I'll team him up with Ty. Do I have Ty? I do. I'll team up with Ty. I like to think that these guys are pretty close friends.
Nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, they're both beasts of legend, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. and Ty's another kind of warrior. He was kind of the king of an empire that he once ruled before it kind of fell to ruin.
Cool.
Yeah, and we might get to see more of Ty's arena pretty soon. But to begin with, I kind of wanted to jump into Toro's arena here. For kind of multiple different reasons. This was one of the very first arenas that we actually created for the game, so it's one that's very close to my heart.
Nice.
But I also think it's kind of really cool because, essentially on the face of it, it is literally, it's an ancient gladiatorial arena within ancient Greece. Talhaka Toro within the lore is kind of the champion of this arena,
right.
And he's kind of known worldwide for being, he is the beast of Talhaka. He's somebody you do not want to face, and as you can see, he is being immortalized in statue at the back of the arena there.
Mm-hmm. So he's very much at home here.
Exactly. Well, he's very, very much at home here. This is his home.
His turf, yeah.
Exactly. But another kind of cool little fun fact about this arena, which you don't necessarily get to see within the game itself. This is kind of something that because I'm kind of considered the lore keeper of HyperBrawl. I've always got these little kind of facts and tidbits which aren't totally important to explain within the game itself, but I think it kind of offers a little bit of depth to the story.
Right.
So this arena is actually on the very, very peak of a mountain called Mount Talos, and essentially the whole area around it was flooded by the wrath of the gods millennia ago. And this is the last remaining kind of area of the highest mountain in the area, which is Mount Talos, which is why it's called Talhaka.
Right.
But then also what's kind of interesting is on the side of this mountain there are actually also multiple kind of cities and civilizations who were all essentially, you know, they were taken out by this kind of massive flood from eons ago. But I mean, that sounds pretty dark, but that's not to say that, you know, this is a world of magic at the end of the day. And I like to think that some of those inhabitants of those settlements and those cities have actually kind of evolved to acclimatize to their kind of new life under the sea. You know, so there's some kind of little Atlantis references there, and possibly even references to characters and worlds that we may see in the future. Who knows? I'm not confirming anything right now.
Right. Okay.
but they exist within the world within my head.
Right.
And what's in my head is canon. So that's canon.
Right.
Confirmed.
Of course. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And that's very cool. So I mean, speaking of cool, one thing we've always done for these streams is we've talked about, you know, other stuff, or these videos is that we've talked about other stuff we've been playing. Because obviously we brought a lot, we play other things too. And I think, you know, one thing I played in the last week that I think is worth mentioning, because it's really unique, is a game called The Shapeshifting Detective. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, sounds like that's a great title. You've hooked me already.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically it's an FMV game, so like full motion video. So like it's real actors and everything, and it's like a choice-based adventure where you're trying to. It's a murder mystery essentially. You're trying to find out, like, someone has died, and you're trying to find out who did it. And you've got the thing that makes this unique is that you are a shapeshifter, so you can, like, as soon as you've met someone, you can turn into them, and then go. So if you meet person A, then you can become person A and go talk to person B, and person B will think they're talking to, you know, person A or whatever, and then you can learn things that you wouldn't be able to if you were yourself.
Nice.
So it's a really cool game where, again, like, you're trying to figure out what the hell happened, and it gets weird. It gets really interesting. There's like weird conspiracy with aliens and all sorts of stuff in it. It's an interesting game.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome. So, from a gameplay perspective, or I guess maybe possibly from a narrative perspective as well, what would be the benefit of not shapeshifting into person A to speak to person B?
I mean, if you are yourself, obviously there are certain questions you can't really ask if you are just a normal person,
right?
Because they know who you are. They know you are a detective. They know you work with the local sheriff.
Okay.
And so there's certain things you are at liberty to ask because you are yourself. And again, certain things you can ask because you're not. And so you just have to figure out, like, when should you be whom to be able to ask the relevant questions.
Okay.
But the thing is, of course, there's certain things you can say or do that might give away that you are a shapeshifter.
Right.
And there is actually, you know, a trophy or achievement tied to people not figuring out who you are, or what you are, rather. So yeah, it's a really cool game, I think. It's like it's a couple of hours long, maybe like 3 or 4 hours, I think.
Yeah.
But once maybe it's even less. It's meant to, like, you play through it several times, and every time you begin, the killer is randomized. So within 3 specific suspects, it's always like you don't know which one it is, and you try to figure out who it is.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it's and once you beat it once, you can then start skipping cutscenes you've already seen or dialogue you've already seen.
Right.
So you can get through it quicker to just see more outcomes to see what happens.
Right.
But there are scenarios where certain people die. There are scenarios where you die. I mean, a lot of stuff can happen.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I haven't actually I haven't played any FMV games so far, but I really should do because I mean I'm really into kind of narrative-based games, so I'll have to.
Yeah, I mean if ooh, no, that was a pretty nice bounce there. If you want a cool FMV, I played this a couple of years ago. There's one called Late Shift, I think, which is the same publisher, but it's basically an action film as a video game. So like it's been a couple of years, but there's like some kind of crime happening, and you can participate or to some extent, you kind of decide how willing you are to do things, and again, several outcomes. I think several endings, from what I remember as well. And it's basically like playing an action film. It's like 2 hours long or something. So it's a cool alternative to actually watching a movie, I think.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That sounds really cool.
Again, you decide. I think all the options in that one is like one of two, so it's very straightforward to play as well.
Well, the outcome of this one, unfortunately, was a loss for me. I did our champion Toro dirty. He wasn't not the victor today. Although he was the MVP, so well done, Toro. But anyway,
well done indeed. Yeah, so one to check out. And speaking of things to check out, let's check out the next match. Right, we're back for the second match and another bit of lore. So, Luke, again, who are you picking, and how cool are they?
So for this match, I'm gonna go for Brawlbot, who is
right.
I mean, he's pretty cool because he's 1 in a million, or maybe even 1 in a trillion. I don't know how many there are, but he was essentially created to be the ultimate HyperBrawl fighting specimen, essentially. But he's kind of special in the sense that he managed to kind of break out of the shackles of the away from his kind of robotic brothers, and he was able to get away from just being another cog in the machine.
Right.
And you'll kind of see. I'll kind of talk more a little about that in a minute. And for his partner, I'll choose Sir Gallant because he's kind of equally emotionless. He's also pretty pretty serious guy when it comes to HyperBrawl. No messing about.
Yeah, he's all about getting the job done, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think another theme between them both is you don't actually kind of know what's going on inside. Like they both look very steely from the outside, but maybe there's something inside there that we don't quite understand yet.
I feel like you're also picking him because I don't have him unlocked yet, so it's kind of a chance for you to show off something that you have that I don't.
It's a bit of a flex. Yeah, it's a little bit of a flex. Okay.
I mean, I'll allow it for this one.
So, I mean, just to continue from Brawlbot's lore then, so this is essentially, I say his world, but he really would rather be anywhere else, because this is where he was created, and this is where, as you can see, a lot of his robotic brothers and sisters were created. They were all Brawlbots. Oh, that's a bit of a glitch. This is a development build, guys.
Work in progress video games,
So he kind of was able to break away from his robotic shackles essentially and get off that industry line, and was essentially able to escape and join the HyperBrawl tournament essentially in the goal to become the ultimate champion of the universe, where essentially his wishes will be granted potentially. And I assume that I imagine his ultimate dream is to be able to bring freedom to all of his companions and get them out of here, because essentially this is the Prometheus Foundry, and it's essentially it's a literal entire moon which is covered by factories and industry lines and construction, and it's all overseen by these two guys on the very left. They're the big brother bots, and they make sure that nobody gets out of line essentially. But fortunately for Brawlbot, for our hero Brawlbot, he was able to get out of that line and he was able to escape.
So how do you think those guys feel seeing him back in the arena as a free bot?
I like to think that it gives them a little bit of hope. It gives them a little bit of hope that one day they can, they might be in his shoes. Definitely.
Right, escape the shackles.
Exactly.
So I guess Brawlbot in a way is part of an army of identical characters. So
Exactly.
I know you've been playing something else with an army of identical characters.
Yeah. I've been playing a crap load of Fall Guys.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm totally addicted to that game.
So is the world, it seems.
Exactly, yeah. But it's just a super addictive game, and it's just super easy to kind of, it's super easy to jump back into it. If you take a loss, you kind of just have to bear it on the chin, but you can just press X again and you're straight back into another game. So they really know, they're really clever, they're really sly with how to that. That for sure was a purposeful choice to make sure that people kind of get stuck in that loop of wanting to play that next game and wanting to try for that next win. Speaking of which, I have 20. I got my 20th win yesterday.
Right.
I'm usually really awful at Battle Royale games. I was never good at Fortnite. I was never good at PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. But I found my game. I found the one Battle Royale game which I happen to be really great at. And I think that is because it's a platformer game, and platformers are kind of my bag.
Yeah, I mean, surely it's the most accessible battle royale ever made, right? It's because if I think all others, unless I'm forgetting a game, all others about shooting essentially. Fortnite to some extent also about building, but it's very high skill, whereas Fall Guys is very much, obviously you can get very skilled and get good at it and know what not to do so you don't fall down and get knocked over. But it's also, there's some luck involved, right?
Absolutely,
a lot more strategy than raw skill, maybe, which is just more approachable for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, that's actually a really great way of putting it. It is kind of all about knowing the kind of best strategies to maneuver, kind of each game mode essentially. Luck does come into it quite a bit, especially on the team games, which obviously the internet has had something to say about team games for Fall Guys. I mean, I'm kind of, when I win them, I'm like, oh yeah, team games are really fun. When I lose them, I'm like, oh, team game's the worst. Why are they even in this game?
I guess if you lose in a team game, you can always blame the team, right?
Exactly.
But at some point, you get tired of losing if your team isn't really carrying its weight.
Exactly. And it'll be interesting to see how they kind of, how Mediaton respond to that. Like, will they kind of, be like, oh, it's just part of the game. It's, it's not meant to be skill-based, not meant to be competitive. It's just kind of meant to be, fun, chaotic, random. Or will they listen to, that kind of... They might be a vocal minority, I'm not sure. I mean, I think, I say vocal minority, a lot of people are kind of talking about it, but maybe that they're only the people who are really that bothered about it. So we'll see what they have to... I mean, the way I'd quite like to see them kind of fix it is, keep the teams in, keep the randomness in, but find a way to reward the kind of most skillful players, even on the losing team. That'd be the nicest way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so considering... normally you don't really want to segment your players because you want to make sure that when people play, they're always able to find a match.
Exactly.
So ideally, having just one mode or one main online mode is usually the way to go.
Yeah.
Just like here, we've got the Blitz mode is the one way to go. Like if you want to play competitively online. But I wonder, do you think they would considering how many players they have and so they might have to be, they can be less worried about segmentation because they have so many people. Do you think they would do playlists? Like do one that is only single, like solo modes, or so you can literally just check. I don't want these team-based matches as well.
Sure.
Do you think they would do that?
Well,
do you think they should do it?
Let's carry on that conversation in our next match because I believe I was the victor there. Let's see if I can.
No surprise, but yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, our third match, and I guess before maybe you answer my question about Fall Guys, just take us through the lore of the character select while we have the chance here.
Okay, well, we touched on him a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna pick Ty again, just because he is the, he is the hero of this next arena we're gonna play in, and as I kind of quickly talked about, he's kind of a disgraced king from a civilization that kind of went to ruin long ago from an ancient enemy, and then I kind of think he's a little bit, he's not good, he's not evil, he's a little bit neutral, he's kind of one of those characters who will kind of do whatever it takes to kind of to achieve his goals, which essentially is to kind of rise his kingdom back up from the ashes once again.
Right.
And
so he has good intentions.
He has good intentions, yeah, but his kind of ways of going about that are a little bit controversial. And in that theme, I'll go with Shade, who's quite similar in that regard. You know, I mean, I'd say Shade's definitely a lot more evil than Tyres, but you know, essentially,
I mean, just look at his face. He looks evil.
I imagine they'd both be in Slytherin if they were in the Harry Potter world. Put it that way.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fall Guys.
Back to Fall Guys, yeah. So, do you think they will and should make different playlists for stuff?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I don't think they've got a problem with segmenting the audience because there are so many people playing. But yeah, will that carry on later on down the line? I definitely think there are things they could do to just improve that one core playlist to kind of appease a lot of these problems that a lot of people have. But I could see them, at least having potentially one more game mode, and maybe that is a no team game based mode if people really got to them. if they kind of looked at the stats and discovered that, right, people really hate these game modes, let's just split it in half potentially. But I don't think that is the answer, to be honest. I think the answer is kind of polishing and tweaking and balancing all the game modes that they currently have, and figuring out new ways that they can kind of retain those kind of more random chaotic team based modes, but find ways to, as I said, reward players regardless.
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice way of doing it. Maybe a kind of, if you're on the losing team, essentially your team is gonna get eliminated, but everyone in that team is kind of put into a bit of a raffle, maybe, where it kind of chooses the one MVP from that team and lets them pass on to the next game mode, perhaps. Yeah, I don't think the answer is segmenting the play base whatsoever. I think the answer is just really listening to the audience, really seeing what they find fun, and if need be, I'd say just cut out a lot of game modes entirely. To be honest,
Right.
I think not all team game modes are really bad. Some of them I kind of just don't have fun with, and I think that's the most important thing. It's not necessarily that I think it's unfair. I'm just not having a lot of fun playing those game modes as opposed to a lot of other ones. And I think they are that kind of developer. I think they'll listen to what people have to say and really optimize the experience. So no matter what game mode you play next, you'll never say, oh, this game mode again. You'll always be like, oh yeah, I really love this game mode. I'm looking forward to it. You know what I mean? I assume that's the kind of experience they want to go for. And I think, the game's only been out for a week. I think they'll reach it. But listen, I could talk forever about Fall Guys. What else have you been playing recently? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a quick shout out, because we don't have that much time left, to an old classic that I'm finally replaying on this generation, called Sleeping Dogs. I don't know if you've ever played this game.
I've played it a lot, yeah. I've played it.
It's so good, and even in 2020, it still holds up. It looks beautiful, and it's just one of the most fun open world games, I think, and it's just. There's stuff in it I don't even remember. I did the whole thing 100% on PS3, and I'm now going for it again on PS4, and there's stuff in there. It has all the DLC, so there's stuff I haven't seen before. Nice. And I'm going to start some of the DLC content tonight, because I finished the story the other day. So yeah, again, rediscovering and this classic these years later is awesome, and they're playing some new content on there. It's very cool. So to anyone who hasn't played it before, it's basically you are like, don't tell anyone, but he's an undercover cop infiltrating the Triad. And obviously, as he gets closer and closer to the Triad, his feelings start getting conflicted and things get tricky. So, but it's a really cool game.
Yeah.
So you're doing both a lot of crime and a lot of police work, which is really cool.
Yeah. I remember I never kind of got it when it first came out. It was one of those games where I kind of probably picked it up on a whim, like, probably a couple of years after it had come out. And I was like, how was I sleeping on this game? I get it. How was I sleeping on this game? Yeah, because it's so good. Because, I mean, I guess it was even a little bit dated even at the time that I played it. But, like, the gameplay just holds up incredibly well. It's just a really fun game.
Yeah, it really is. I remember I bought it initially. I didn't pick it up at launch either. But I remember it was on, like, PlayStation used to do these 12 Days of Christmas deals. So every 48 hours they would have, like, a new feature deal. And I'm pretty sure Sleeping Dogs on PS3 was on that, so it's like super cheap at the time. This must have been a while after it came out, considering how cheap it was. So I didn't play it at launch, but it's so good. And this was obviously, I think, not that long after GTA 4, so a lot of comparisons were drawn. And honestly, I think Sleeping Dogs is in a lot of ways more fun than GTA 4, but GTA 4 is also way more serious in a lot of ways. More serious game. But again, Sleeping Dogs is also serious in the sense that it's not for kids. Like, you know, there's a lot of blood. Like, you're chopping people down with like machetes and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Exactly.
So it's a very mature but very cool action-packed open world game.
Yeah, that's it. I think, as you say, it's compared to GTA, but I think it's kind of, they just focused a lot more on, you know, what the game is, as opposed to kind of, it's not necessarily a sandbox game like you might describe GTA. It's a much more kind of, it's a
more defined, controlled experience in a way.
Exactly.
Even though toward the end, like, one of the things I didn't remember from the original is that now at the end of the game, I've been rewarded with like this supercar, like this experimental car that has built-in turrets and an EMP and all sorts of crazy stuff. So you can like, it drives so fast. So like literally built-in machine guns or miniguns to just like fold out of the vehicle and just it's crazy. Right. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So it gets crazy at the end when you unlock some of the wilder stuff. But, it's a very cool game.
I'm trying to remember if I ever played any of the DLCs. I honestly can't remember. Were they like actual expansion packs or extra?
I think based on, because I haven't played them yet, so I'm not entirely sure. But based on the main menu, you can select 2 DLC. I think they're literally extra story, based on like 2 of them have actual names, and like so I think 2 of them are actual story. Whereas I think a lot of the DLC that came out was like cosmetics and that kind of thing. Because it does say on the box, I have the physical copy, it has 24 DLCs included, but there are only 2 in the menu. So I think it's just 2 of them are like deep story things. Nice. So I guess I'll find out, and maybe next week I'll be able to report back and see how tell you how those went.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of story, that was the end of our lore chat today, KA, I believe.
Yeah, so we'll meet in a moment in a roundup, I guess, in free play, and then see you in a sec. Right, so we're back at the end of this video, and I mean, Luke, hats off once again. You won the crown to keep it in Fall Guys. You won the crown. You won the crown on this one. So well done. You know, thanks guys. If you made it this far, thank you for hanging out with us. I want to, get the housekeeping at the end here as well, in case you for some reason just tuned in to the end or forgot what I said at the beginning. So again, check out our social channels or our website or our newsletter to get, exclusive wallpapers, to get information about our current Gleam giveaway, where again you can win some very cool Alienware PC accessories. Sign up to the newsletter to receive, or to potentially receive, you have to complete our quests, to potentially receive some very cool, very limited ambassador rewards, which includes character skins that will only be achievable, like you'll only be able to get these if you get these rewards. Mm-hmm. So you'll be like very recognizable in the arena if you manage to get them. So yeah, links in the description if you want to sign up and get in on the action and the fun. And yeah, I think with that, have I missed anything? Have you? What are you doing in the background here? Have you managed to do something cool while I've been rambling?
I'm kind of it's not working out so great. I'm attempting to get some kind of cool Maglev goals, but right. I don't think it's going to happen for me today, unfortunately.
I mean, we did show one off recently on Twitter. If people want to see some cool a cool KO, I think it was.
It's definitely an advanced skill that only masters can pull off.
Yeah, and sometimes masters that even they can't do it. But that was so close. It was very, very close. But yeah, it's a weapon that kind of momentum can work both for and against you there. So it's one with unexpected results at times.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about weapons, you can check out last week's chat. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yes. So yeah, I mean, it'll be on YouTube, or if you're on Steam, we have a blog post up there, or announcement post where you can see get a link directly to it and watch it there as well. So yeah, I think we've been rambling for long enough. Again, thanks guys for watching. Thank you, Luke, for I guess taking the crown away from me, even though I feel like I never had it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
all,
Well
all
done.
it took was a little bit of cheating.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
the-
that's whatever it takes.
It's the best
That's
way
how
to
you
become
get
a
that's,
champion.
that's how you get the crown.
Exactly. And one more for good luck. Nice.
Nice. Well done.